thank my colleague and longtime advocate of Social Security and our subcommittee point person, Senator Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Senator Cortez Masto, thank you for bringing up a really important issue. Mr. Biggs, I'll start with you. I'm concerned about your record on Social Security, as you know, which is a bedrock of our middle class. People earn and pay into their whole lives. This committee has been terrific understanding pensions, as Senator Chair Wyden has understood, in restoring people's lost pensions. My concern is the role you played in President Bush's effort to divert payroll tax contributions from the trust funds to a private savings account. In other words, you advocated privatizing Social Security. You and your allies back off that sometimes, saying you're not, but you have been, to let Wall Street gamble with people's guaranteed retirement security, as most of us in this committee find abominable. That was just a few years before the 2000 crash. If workers had followed your plan back then, we all know what would have happened to a generation of American Social Security. So many Americans would have lost most of their savings. My first question, do you think Social Security should be privatized?
No, I do not.
Okay, to be clear, my concern with your views on Social Security aren't just about the past. These are your present-day views. Just last month, you wrote in the Wall Street Journal, no, Social Security isn't earned. You've also written before about raising the Social Security retirement age. Do you think Congress should raise the Social Security retirement age?
I have not proposed raising the Social Security retirement age. I'm aware of an article that responded to some where it cited some comments I made in a congressional hearing where I said it was not an unreasonable idea. Over the past 12 years, I have put forward 3 different written frameworks for how I would reform Social Security. None of them included an increase in the Social Security retirement age.
You've also said all options should be on the table, and that includes, I assume, raising the retirement age and privatizing Social Security when you say all options should be on the table.
I don't believe I said all options should be on the table. I think Congress should keep all options on the table if you wish to have a bipartisan agreement. I have not argued for raising the Social Security retirement age. I don't believe I've written anything in favor of private accounts since the Bush experience in 2005, so that's 18 years ago.
I mean, I've watched you and I've watched your allies and administrations over the years when you have power, make suggestions to a number of Wall Street Journal and conservative publications and Heritage Foundation and all those allies. Your allies seem to clearly, they don't like Social Security. They don't really need Social Security. I mean, most of the people that takes these positions of privatization, of raising the retirement age, you could live the rest of your lives, however long you live after retirement. If you ever retire, you could live it in enough comfort that you don't really need that $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And I think back of who's making these sort of admonitions to us, who's saying that Social Security, all options are on the table, privatization's okay, all that. It's people who wear suits all day and sit at a desk, people like you, people like me, raising the retirement age. But I don't. Maybe if you spent more time, I don't want to lecture you, but maybe if you spent more time talking about people that work at the McDonald's drive-thru, or people that are steel workers, or people that are on their feet all day, by the time they're 45 or 50 or 55, their bodies are pretty worn out. Yours, I mean, if your health is generally good, your body isn't worn out by doing the kind of work you do, the kind of work I do. But people who work hard, I mean, the building trades, start work at 18 or 20, a pipe fitter or a construction worker of some kind. They pay into retirement. They can retire at 55 because their bodies wear out. I've looked at police officers that are 50 that their bodies have worn out. They have physical jobs with challenges all day long, yet they're Social Security matters to them. And if you think about raising the retirement age, as you've advocated and others have advocated, and we've raised the retirement age, it's that much longer those people have to wait. And they typically don't live as long past 65 as people that work like you do and I do. And it's just, I guess my request and admonition is spend a little more time with servers in this society. I'll close with one story, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman. I was I was at an AFL-CIO dinner in Cincinnati a few years ago, and there were a group of middle-aged women sitting in the front of the room, and I went up and sat at their table, and I said, "What brings you here?" And one woman said, "We just negotiated our first union contract. I represent 1,200 custodial workers." And I said, "What does that mean, your first union contract?" She said, "I'm 51. It's the first time in my life I'll ever have a paid 1-week vacation." People like that, I mean, they're cleaning offices, our offices every day, and we expect them to work to 65 or 67. So often they don't have a retirement. So often they don't have vacation. So often they don't have health care. And it's why people hate Washington. They don't see us paying enough attention to people that work with their hands, people on their feet all day, people that struggle with the daily mess of life, and we simply don't, as a culture, and reward them for it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I might, Senator, I'm fortunate enough to live in a rural area, so I'm outside of Washington, D.C. My friends include people who are plumbers, electricians, people who work in construction. I have a family friend who I help with her SSI. And so I completely understand what you're saying. What I've argued for on Social Security, I have not advocated for raising the retirement age. I've argued for increasing minimum benefits, which would raise benefits for about the bottom third of retirees and would take the elderly poverty rate from the current rate of 7% or so to 0%. So I think it's important to understand what I am, for better or worse, I have a very long written record of advocating things. And so I think it's important to understand what I've advocated for and what I've not advocated for.
Good. Thank you.